Okay, so the news is this one that was given on the stream, right? From the live stream about Steam, right? NT is coming to Steam in July and why this expansion is much more important than it seems. Let's go into some detail about why there's more to this than meets the eye, right? When Neverness to Everness launched globally on April 29th, it did so through its own independent launcher, available from the official website. For many Western gamers, this first step, downloading a third-party client in addition to what they already have on their PC, is precisely the reason why they didn't install the game, not because of lack of interest, but because of the friction that sometimes comes with leaving the ecosystems they already have set up or that they use every day. Now that friction is going to disappear. NT is coming to Steam on July 16, 2026, and along with it to the Epic Games Store, the Samsung Galaxy Store, and the NVIDIA GeForce Now service. It looks like a piece of distribution news at first glance, but it's actually a decision with implications that go far beyond increasing the number of platforms.
That's huge. That's huge. The statistic that changes the conversation: 75% of NT players are on PC or console. Right?
To understand why the Steam expansion matters, you first have to understand the profile of the NT player. The data that Perfect World Games shared with its shareholders after launch reveals something that contradicts the usual stereotype of a mobile gacha game, right? 75% of total global revenue comes from the home console version, which is PC and PlayStation 5. We already talked about this, right? In a previous week, that this is completely the opposite of most games that are on the market today. Right. Even in China, the market that has the largest volume of this game, 65% of active accounts are PC players. I mean, we're not talking about a blue mobile game. I
mean, in China, most people are on mobile and yet 65% of the account is on PC. And let's not forget that that's another issue, the issue of gacha revenue. How does it compare to this? But anyway, that's another issue.
And apart from that, it's coherent because in the end it's Unreal Engine 5, right? An already very powerful engine, and well, to run Unreal on mobile you need to have quite powerful devices, right? Because if not, things suffer.
As I said,
apart from the whole issue of king tracing and all the issues with reflections, rain, all those effects it has, it's normal that you could have a bad experience on mobile. I mean, it's logical.
Of course, this means that NT is not, for practical purposes, a mobile game with a desktop version, but rather a PC and console game, a mobile conversion. And in this context, keeping it off Steam for the first 2 months of its life was a strategic anomaly. The independent launcher was useful for the launch, but for a title that aims to build the largest possible community in the West.
Steam is the infrastructure that makes it possible to reach the largest number of people. Logical.
Sure.
Why does Steam change the rules for new players? The difference between an independent launcher and a presence on Steam is not just about convenience, they are ecosystems with different logics. On Steam, for example, NT will have public reviews, which is important, which act as a sign of trust for players who are not yet familiar with it. Gacha games have a complicated history on Steam, and the review system can become a good real thermometer of satisfaction. It is true that on Steam there are usually average players of indie games or AAA games, right? Sure. So, normally these types of free-to-play games or more mobile games that have a desktop version are not usually the type of games that are played massively there. Sure. So having it in the store and having public reviews can help that type of tourist player decide to install the game, right? And end up convincing them. For a game with ratings of 4.6 on the App Store and 4.2 on Google Play, after more than 1 million downloads, entering Steam with this story of satisfaction is a solid starting point. Steam also provides algorithmic visibility, recommendations, wishlists, notifications to users who have it on their wishlist. Since the game's page was published, thousands of players have already added it to their wishlist. On launch day in July, it will then have a pre-activated audience, guaranteed, which, for example, did not exist with the launcher.
Of course, because the thing about the wishlist is that you enter it in Wii U and automatically when the game comes out, you get a notification in your email and on the client, so you install it automatically.
Old school, I'll ask you quickly, before you continue, is this going to coincide with version 1.2 or with the final version of version 1.1? Let's
see. This is July 16th.
Oh, no, with 1.2. The day is starting and it lasts 32 days, if I'm not mistaken. No, yes, no, it's for 1.2. It's for 1.2. It's like for the first week, second week, 1.2. For 1.2. So, this already suggests that 1.2 will probably be a big version, right?
Yes.
Like for it to be the launch of, for it to be a hard launch. Sure. That's great. Let's see. The last live stream they showed was, it seems to me like a 10 live stream, but you can tell it's a live stream that has like an island, some events and such, the collaboration of pores, some new houses and such, but it didn't feel like a huge hit of content, right?
Yes. 1.2 does seem like it's going to be that. Because of course, it will have to accompany the launch of Steam with something powerful, right? It makes sense. I mean, I think it's to be expected that 1.2 will be powerful.
Yes. Hypothetically speaking, briefly, possible X, possible Chinu, two very attractive characters that people already have their eyes on. I mean, imagine that with a virtual city lore. What we've seen that they've kind of shown, imagine what that could mean for, let's say, the overall impact on these more mainstream platforms in the game, right? Let's see. There are several characters that are being considered because it's true that in terms of marketing, they've been pushing certain characters too much, like it feels like they've put more emphasis on those characters, and they're X and 5.
Right.
I think those two, at least one of them has to be very close now. And we'll see if, well, these characters that they announced to us that they'd given us a visual reward for, well.
Obviously you don't give a visual reward to a character that you're not going to put in the game right away, right? I mean, I don't think there's much left for AA.
And what's her name? Oya, what's her name? Her name is Nia, I don't remember her name.
Okay, I don't remember. Well, the girl with the horns and the one with the eye patch, right? That one. Exactly.
Yeah. There's also a cultural factor with Steam, right? In the Western PC market, Steam is the go-to platform. Being on Steam also conveys that the game is a stable product with ongoing support.
And willing to be exposed to the public scrutiny of a platform with a history. What this expansion says about J Studio's ambition, taken together with the distribution strategy that's been deployed in the first few months of NTE, paints a clear picture. J Studio isn't operating like a typical Asian gacha studio exporting its product to the West. It's trying to build a global IP with a player base that's as diverse in geography as it is in access platform from the get-go. Because let's remember that this game is practically a month old and that's it. It's going to be on Steam, it's going to be on Epic, it's going to be on the Samsung Galaxy, it's on the PlayStation Store and on GeForce Now. I mean, all at once in what? 30 days. That's crazy, huh?
Wow. I mean, people have no idea what it's like to manage all that at once in 30 days. It's crazy, huh? We don't really stop to think about it.
Phew. This is probably the beginning of the phase where NTE starts to compete on equal terms with other big gachas in the popularity rankings of the world's largest platform, Steam, for PC games. July 16th will determine which way the scales tip, right? We'll see, because now it's going to start competing with the score at the end, with the percentage of positive reviews it receives compared to other games. So, for example, because Warring Way is also on Steam. Sure. I
mean, obviously the comparisons are going to jump. Okay, well, we'll also look at the positive side, and this is also something I haven't mentioned here, but I think it's also key. An important factor that also measures success is that when you log into Steam, you'll be able to see the Steam charts, the number of players, of course, active players and stuff, and the picks and everything. Sure. That'll also help you know when the game is at a low point, when the game is at a peak, which is also useful for content creators, because that way you can see when you have to take more advantage of the guy who's
going to be good, honestly. Oh,
this is going to be really good too, man. Let's see. And in terms of context, looking at the message in a bit of an overview, I think the message is clear, right? The message is to take advantage of the sandbox theme, the theme of the similarity, so to speak, with GTA. Okay, let's say GTA, that great driving sandbox reference, and that potential. Let's talk a little bit briefly about its potential. We talked about the potential that NTE has to move away from being called a gacha game. Let me give you an example. Yesterday, a few days ago, I was talking to the person who is the trainer at the gym where I usually go, and he's a real gamer. He's a native gamer and he really likes to play, and I always ask him and we talk. Hey, look, what are you playing right now? He tells me, well, right now I'm playing Witcher, right now I'm playing Resident Evil, whatever. I say, great. I asked him last week, hey, look, what are you playing right now? He told me, well, I'm playing Witcher. And I told him, hey, look, I'm making NTE content. NTE told him. And he immediately told me, oh, yeah, I already have it on my wish list. I mean, I have it there to download at any time because I'm going to play it because it looks like a GTA. So I said, hey, how interesting that a person who doesn't play gacha games, who doesn't know what a gacha is, who doesn't know the genre, who hasn't even played Genshin or W3 or anything like that, already has the game practically downloaded and pre-downloaded because he's going to try it, and that already tells you a little bit more on an expansive level that the concept can really permeate the mainstream. Nor school, what do you think about that on a reflective level? Let's see. I think there's also a lot of marketing, huh? I mean, I'm going to be critical of this too. I mean, I think this GTA anime thing is pure marketing, because really, what is GTA? What is GTA? GTA is a game about mafias and cartels and creating an economic empire. Really, the only thing this game has in common with GTA is the economic empire, because there are no mafias, no cartels, no run-overs, no blood, nothing. I mean, you're not shooting each other with a UCI on the street. I mean, sure. What this new game really brings is the theme of simulation. Of having a city at your feet, where you can have businesses, houses, take your Wi-Fi there. The theme of exploration making real sense, that it's not an empty mountain with 4 bugs, right? But rather a living city where people move, it rains, people get in cars, there's traffic, it feels alive, right? I think that's what it brings the most. But the theme of GTA, I think that more than anything it's like a marketing tool. I mean, it's simply that you can use cars. There's also that element of racing, of driving, enjoying the trip, enjoying the scenery, feeling a little more like the owner or you own the experience, but I don't think it's here to compare it to GTA or anything like that. I mean, I think.
Sure, but of course, you said it right. It's marketing, but they at work because people immediately made the connection. Yeah, well, it really is a completely different concept from what was already on the table, right? Right.
Yeah, obviously people are already pretty burnt out, not just on 50, but on games. I mean, the same game scheme with a different name and a different universe, but it's exactly the same scheme, right? So, for them to change the scheme, for them to change the atmosphere, for us to finally have a real modern urban environment, not with this crappy medieval fantasy that they always force on us.
Yeah, and for them to take away 5050, well, of course, everyone's minds exploded, right? It's normal. Yeah. It's a win. I
mean, there really wasn't that much to do to succeed, but of course, when you do all the things you wrote down and you do them well, then they work. That's where the difference is. Well, I agree with what we've talked about 100%, and the information is pretty good. I don't know if you want to add anything else to end the video.
No, that's fine, and that's it. Waiting for, well, for this to lead to the game continuing to grow and for it to reach more users, especially important that it reaches users who don't necessarily have to be the target, but rather the tourist public, right? From Steam or Epic or others. That's right.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing this information with us, guys. Also remember that if you like the content we're doing about NT, we're covering different fronts. We're covering information, news, analysis, lore, gameplay, theoretical crafting, and a little bit of everything. Hey, remember to come to the live broadcasts that we're doing every day, both on YouTube and on the Purple platform, and there we're talking about a little bit of everything. We have a very good community that's also being built around NT, where we talk about a little bit of everything, and we're also listening to the community. So, what do you think of this information from Steam and Epic Store? Do you think it's going to be a big hit, a huge leap into the mainstream that will make itself known in many more places because of Steam and the Epic Store? Well, leave your comments. I'll read them and I'll see you in the next video. So take care, people. Go this way, old school. Greetings to everyone there.
See you in another video.